They laughed when the single dad sat in first class. Men don't always talk about what they've built. Sometimes they just sit quietly and let the world underestimate them. This was one of those moments, and everyone on that plane was about to learn the hard way. He didn't react to the whispers, didn't correct the assumptions. Some men learn early that silence is stronger than ego. But when the cabin lights flickered midair, silence was no longer an option. In a flight, "Do you have hot chocolate?" he asked politely. The flight attendant smiled. "We absolutely do." As she stepped away, Leonard leaned toward the passenger beside him. "Hot chocolate in first class. That's new." A few quiet laughs followed. Rowan heard them. Of course he did. But for a moment, he was somewhere else. Not in this polished cabin beneath warm reading lights. He was remembering a different flight years ago. One taken in silence, except for the steady breathing of the woman beside him. A hospital transfer. No laughter then. Only machines. He blinked once and grounded himself. Eli tapped his arm. "Are you nervous about flying?" she asked. He shook his head gently. "About your interview?" He smiled, softer than anyone around them seemed to expect. "Kiddo, you built a working weather station out of spare parts. They'd be lucky to have you." She leaned into him, reassured. The cabin doors closed with mechanical finality. A distant whine rose beneath the floor as the aircraft awakened. Systems humming to life in layered tones most passengers never consciously registered. Rowan did. His head tilted almost imperceptibly. Not concern. Recognition. He scanned the ceiling panels, the lighting strips, the subtle delay before one section brightened fully. Interesting. Leonard noticed the movement and chuckled. "Relax. Planes make noises. Perfectly safe." "I know," Rowan answered calmly. The engines deepened into a low vibration you could feel more than hear, like the purr of something enormous preparing to move. Eli pressed her forehead to the window. "We're really doing this?" "Yeah," he said quietly. "We are." As the plane pushed back from the gate, sunlight slid across the cabin, glinting off watches, glasses, and polished surfaces. Small monuments to status. Rowan's hands rested loosely on his knees, but his gaze drifted upward again. Listening, measuring, cataloging without effort. A faint flicker rippled through the overhead lights. So quick most passengers missed it. Most. Rowan's eyes narrowed slightly. The plane paused at the runway. Engines roared. Acceleration pressed everyone back into their seats. Leonard lifted his drink with satisfaction. Eli grabbed her father's hand, excitement sparking through her nerves. Rowan squeezed back, steady as bedrock, but his attention lingered upward, counting silently. 1 beat. 2. Then normal again. For now. The aircraft climbed. The city shrank into a patchwork of light beneath them. "Dad?" Eli whispered. "Are you fixing the plane?" He shook his head gently. "The crew fixes planes. I just help them see things." A flight attendant named Mara crouched slightly, so their conversation stayed private. "What exactly caught your attention?" she asked. "The lighting flicker was the first clue," Rowan said. "But it isn't just lights. There's a fractional delay in environmental compensation. Fans adjusting half a beat late. That usually means the electrical load is redistributing unexpectedly." She listened more closely now. "Generator issue?" she asked. "Possibly. Or a sensor disagreement making the system think there is one." "Is that dangerous?" "Not inherently," Rowan replied. "Modern aircraft tolerate failures. The risk comes from confusion. When automation reacts to faulty data." Another soft tremor passed through the floor. Rowan felt it. "Did the cockpit mention advisory codes?" he asked. "They referenced fluctuating readings on one channel." He nodded slowly. "It may help to isolate that bus early before protective logic starts shedding non-critical systems unnecessarily." Mara absorbed that, then straightened. "I'll relay it exactly." Leonard let out a breath. "Well, this is officially the strangest flight I've taken." Rowan leaned back, but his senses stayed sharpened. Across the cabin, conversations softened. Humans were excellent at pretending calm, but shoulders tightened, gestures slowed, glances lingered toward the ceiling. "Are we safe?" Eli whispered. "Yes," Rowan said without hesitation, and he meant it. Minutes later, Mara returned quickly. "The captain says your description aligns with what they're seeing." "Good," Rowan said. "She'd like to know if you've encountered this before." "Older redundancy logic sometimes overcorrects when sensors drift," he explained. "It can look like cascading failure when it's really just disagreement." Leonard blinked. You're talking like someone who wrote the manual. Rowan ignored him. Would you be willing to share your background with the captain? Mara asked. He hesitated, then nodded. Former Air Force avionics engineer. Later worked on commercial transition safety teams. Mara's eyes widened slightly. I'll let her know. Another flicker rippled overhead. Longer this time. A soft gasp traveled through first class. Rowan closed his eyes briefly, listening deeper than sound, feeling the aircraft's electrical rhythm through the seat frame. There. The delay had lengthened. Mara returned again. The captain says thank you. They've isolated the suspected channel and are monitoring the response. Good crew, Rowan said quietly. Are the readings stabilizing? Improving. Leonard let out a shaky laugh. Stay available, she says. You're practically crew now. Everyone on board is invested in the same outcome, Rowan replied. Outside, clouds towered. Inside, the aircraft seemed to breathe easier. The overhead lights steadied. Environmental fans returned to rhythm. Rowan allowed the smallest release of tension. Then the intercom chimed. The captain's voice filled the cabin, calm and steady. Ladies and gentlemen, we experienced a minor electrical advisory earlier in the flight. Out of an abundance of caution, we isolated the affected channel and monitored system response. The aircraft remained fully safe and operational at all times. A collective breath released. Then she paused. And I would like to extend my personal gratitude to a passenger on board, a former Air Force avionics engineer whose insight helped our crew interpret the anomaly quickly and accurately. Sir, your professionalism reflects the spirit aviation is built upon. On behalf of the entire crew, thank you. Silence. Then heads turned. Leonard's seatbelt creaked as he twisted toward Rowan. That's him, someone whispered. Heat crept up Rowan's neck. Eli looked up at him, eyes shining. You didn't tell me it was that big. I didn't know it would be, he murmured. Applause began hesitantly. Then it spread. Rowan stiffened slightly. For the crew, he said softly when Eli whispered that they were clapping for him. Respect settled where judgment once lived. Leonard leaned closer. I owe you an apology. I built an entire story about you before you even sat down. Most people do, Rowan replied calmly, recognizing it matters. Later, as the aircraft descended through amber light, the landing gear deployed with a distant mechanical thud. Flaps extended. The runway rose to meet them. Touchdown came firm but graceful. No applause this time. Just completion. After arrival, Mara approached. The captain would like to thank you in person, and she's invited your daughter to visit the cockpit. Eli nearly vibrated with excitement. Rowan stood slowly. Inside the cockpit, instruments glowed in disciplined rows. Captain Adrian Voss removed her headset and extended her hand. It's an honor to finally meet you, she said. The honor is mine, Captain. You ran a beautiful operation. She smiled. Old language. I like it. She looked at Eli. Would you like to see where we fly from? Eli climbed into the jump seat, eyes wide at the constellation of displays. Captain Voss turned back to Rowan. Your analysis saved us valuable time. When I read your credential, I recognized your name. Your redundancy work is still referenced in transition training. He blinked. I didn't realize it endured. Good design endures, she said simply. Why did you leave? She asked gently. My wife passed, he answered quietly. There are moments when your child needs you more than the sky does. She nodded. Before they left, she handed him a small metal wing pin. A spare from my first command, she said. From one professional to another. He accepted it carefully. As they stepped back into the terminal, Eli slipped her hand into his. Dad, when the captain thanked you, I felt like everyone saw you the way I do. And how is that? He asked softly. Like someone who always knows what to do. He crouched slightly, so their eyes met. Kiddo, no one always knows. The goal is to stay calm enough to figure it out. She nodded thoughtfully. They walked forward together beneath the high ceiling of the terminal. Sometimes dignity doesn't roar. Sometimes it simply stands its ground until the world catches up. If this story moved you, don't miss the next one. Tell me in the comments what injustice we should tackle next.